Hey gamers, today we're looking at In the Hall of the Mountain King. Let's check it out. Okay, I should start by explaining this is the deluxe edition for the Kickstarter here. The base version will not have as many nice pieces, but the base version is still nice. How setup goes is someone will start with this nice start player token here. You're going to shuffle the spell deck, put 3 out, have your supplies ready, shuffle your little workshops, put them over here for now. You have your little starting area, and the board will tell you for 2, 3, or 4 players. This is for a 3-player game. If you flipped it over on its winter slide, it'd be for 2 and 4 players, and it would tell you where to put your workshop because it has these little blue 3 triangles there. And even on setting out all these little idols here, it'll even tell you, hey, this is where this little icon is where you'll put those out there. And then, of course, there's what a 4, 5, 3-player game looks like. And of course, that's what a workshop type thing looks like. You can't put anything over workshop, and that's a rubble space there. You're going to shuffle all these little tokens and put them out here on the podium track there that you'll be able to score. You're going to shuffle the 1, 2, and 3 troll deck and deal out 5, 4, and 3 like that. On the tier 2 trolls, you're going to dig through this bag randomly, select a bunch of these little podiums here, and put them on each card. And then for the number 3 deck, you're going to take these 3 tokens and put them on there. In fact, on the number 3 cards, it even says, hey, this has a number 3. This has a 3-tiered little podium there that you put on there. All right, you're also going to have your tunnels over here, as well as some of your Great Hall tiles. There's a whole stack in there that fits in there. On your player board basically tells you what to do for each turn. But you're going to go through your stack of cards, shuffle your deck, deal out 4 cards, and you're going to get the starting resources of each one of those cards. So, for example, I would dig into the supply deck here, and I'd give myself a hammer. He gets a coin. He gets iron, and he gets 2 rock there. And then I would basically tuck all those one-time offers right there. And then this is what I'd be left with these cards over the side. And I would discard these other 2. Now, if this was for the 2nd and 3rd player, they're going to flip over 1 more extra and get that starting resource. And if it's the 4th player, they're going to flip over their other 2 cards, and they're going to start with all of their resources. Now, other things you're going to have is these little start trackers here will be on the 0 track. You'll have these little tokens here that you'll place to the side, and then you are finally ready to play this game. If you are playing with the little mini expansion champions, you'll deal these out equal to the number of players plus 1 and have them draft them one at a time. And so starting with the last player, they'll draft them all, and these just give you the special abilities in the game. And that's if you want to play with that champions mini expansion. So the game is very simple. What you're going to do is you're going to look at your player board here and says, hey, first off, you may cast a spell or use a workshop. Now, I'll talk about workshops later, but casting a spell, you would need one of these nice little magic gems to start with. And if so, you could place it on any one of these cards to take that action. And it just basically gives you cheats in the game on how to do some of your other actions. But just to let you know, once one of these cards gets its 3rd gem, that card disappears. It goes to the bottom of the stack, and a new spell card is brought out with new cheats in the game. That's how that works. Now, once you decide to cast your spell or use your workshop, which again I'll mention later, next up you may recruit 1 troll or dig a tunnel and score it. So let's talk about recruiting trolls. You can recruit any of these trolls at the bottom for free. Basically, you'll just take them, and this one gives us, I think this is Hearthstone or something. And then wherever I tuck this card, let's say I've just tucked it right over here, I would cascadingly get all those rewards. So I get my little Hearthstone there, I get another little coin here, and then a little gem here. And basically that's how it works. Now, these resources you cannot move off your board unless you have a special power or workshop that allows you to do it. They stay here, and they will not trigger any more rewards in the future. So until they're removed from your game board or used up. So for example, if I wanted to cast a spell next time, I could use this crystal on here. Even if I had one here, it's best to use one on the card, because let's say later on I was to buy one like this and add it to here. Well, I would get an iron and you get it. All the cards look the same, but this is for white statues. I'll mention what that means later. And then here I would get myself a little bit of a hammer, but then here I would not generate another gem because that's already there. So I would have to clear this and paid it earlier for me to have it reproduce. And you're kind of stacking these in period form to form a pyramid here of all your trolls and cascading, always getting new rewards as long as they don't have anything on them. Now, let's say then you would deal out more after your turn there. Now, let's say that I wanted to get one of these two-tiered trolls. Well, if that was the case, then I'd have to bribe them with enough cash to pay each of the two trolls underneath them. So if I wanted this one, I'd pay that one, and then I could take him. If I wanted to take a three-tiered troll, well, then I'm going to have to bribe this one, and this one. So it gets more expensive to get those. But of course, as you see, they get better and better rewards as you go. So if you have some coin, you may want to spend it to get some of these bigger cards that can really give you some big bonuses. However, when a troll gets 4 coins on them, they leave the stack, they go to the bottom of the stack, and a new troll comes back. All right, so that's recruiting trolls that you'll be doing. But if you don't want to recruit a troll this turn, you can dig a tunnel instead. And the board game basically shows you what to do. If you wanted to build 2, 3, 4, 5, you would spend that many resources, 2, 3, 4, or 5 resources to get it. How many points would you score? Well, on a 2-tier, you'd score 0 points no matter what metal you built it with. But if you built a 3-tier with rock, you'd get 3 points. If you'd have built that 3-tier with iron, you'd gotten 4. If you had built it with this heartstone, you'd gotten 5, and so on and so forth. So it's always more expensive. The more the precious, more the jewels, or I guess iron or whatnot, the resource you use, the better the resource, the more victory points you'll score by building that tunnel. And when you build tunnels, you'll take, let's say I took a 3 here. So I take this 3-tiered, and I could have taken any one. If I got a 4-tiered one, I could have taken this one here. I could have taken that one there, this little L shape, or this little T shape here. And then I can place it anywhere, starting with my little player board. Now, you cannot place it over your own workshop, or you can't place it next to another player's tunnel. So for instance, let's say that another player was building a tunnel and they were right here. I could not build mine here. Because it would run into someone else's tunnel. I could do catty corner, that's fine, but I couldn't lay flush against someone else's tunnel. Plus, I could never cover, I couldn't do that anyway because that would actually cover a workshop, and you can never cover a workshop, nor can you cover a starting tile, yours or any other players. And also, these little rubble spaces that you see here on the board, and again, the game will show you what the rubble spaces look. If I were to lay one over, let's say, here like this, you get all the resources that are printed there, but this one actually has rubble, so I'd have to use a hammer to clear it, and I put this back into the table, and I'd probably have used the one on the card first, because that one will just regenerate when I recruit another troll. Place this one down here and get those rewards and put them over to the left side of my player board, or the right, I don't think it matters. If you were to place it over here, not only would I get a coin and a stone, but I would have also unearthed a statue, and that statue will score me points at the end of the game. Now, at the end of the game, it depends on where it is. In the dark gray area, light gray area, red, orange, yellow area, the closer it is to the center, the more points it'll score. And you're saying, Matt, they're all on the outer edge. How do I get them to the edge? There are ways to move statues further in to score you more points at the end of the game. As you see here, wherever that, doesn't matter the color, but wherever that statue is, the closer it is to the middle, you're going to get more points for it. Now, the next thing you can do here is you can dedicate a great hall. Dedicating a great hall is basically when you have enough tiles, let's say, to cover one. Let's say over time, someone did this little number here and really started making a nice little tunnel around everyone here. Well, then they could look through all of these little great halls, and there's different sizes for different types here. And even if it covers a statue, that's fine. But again, you can't cover a workshop, and you can't cover your starting area here. But if I was to place it over here, that statue would pop down right down. Well, let me flip this over here. Right over here, that'd be a perfect placement. It would start here because that's where it was. And during the game, if I can move it to right here, that great hall will score me 11 points. If I don't, as you see here indicated, only scores me 4. 11 if I can move any colored statue there. So maybe I move orange later on. I'll talk about how to move statues in a minute. But that's what it means by dedicating your great hall if you wanted to do that. Now, also says here, you may also move statues. How do you move statues? You move them with carts. Now, for this orange one, I couldn't move it right now because I do have a cart, but it's only for white statues is what it says. So maybe if I had that card, I could move it for orange statues. Or somehow, let's say I moved a cart over to this area, then that's a miscellaneous cart and I could move it. How do movements work? You can move them on one tile to the next or on the same tile. So for instance, for this example, I just want to move it here so I can score that and make it an 11. Woo woo. But let's say he started off here. Okay, well, I would still use just one cart. I'd move one cart to move him over to this tile. Well, I'd actually move a second cart to move him over there onto that tile. You could, if I moved him through my little workspace, that does count as a tile, and any cutoff tiles count as well. So for instance, if he was here, I have to pay one cart to move him onto the next tile. All right, and again, this is how you're going to be using these carts. You can get tons of them in the game. You're going to be using these carts to hopefully build a tunnel to get it further and further down into the center of the earth so that you can score that statue more. Now, of course, if I had a workshop, yeah, I'm scoring that statue already. But let's say I'd unearth another one. Maybe I want to move this one in a little bit further and score it so I can get more points next time. So as you discover them, you're going to be wanting to move them around a lot. And after that, you end your turn. Now, I should mention one other thing. What about these pedestals? Because when you get one of these pedestals, and by the way, when you get a level 3 card, you get any color pedestal you want. So, right now, let's say I really need an orange pedestal, and that's the only one, but I couldn't afford it, or maybe there wasn't an orange out. Well, then I could pick him and get any type in the back, or maybe draft him and get an orange one. Now, when you draft these with coins on them, of course, you're getting the coin and any rewards on them. But here, if I had an orange pedestal, I couldn't place it now, but on another turn, when I'm placing one of these, let's say I bought another one, and I placed it, I need to place it up against my tower, so I do that. I'm going to have to pay one hammer for that. So boom, paid a hammer. And now on that circle, I can place my pedestal. You cannot place it on a tile that's already been placed. You have to place it on a fresh new tile that you just placed. And then I can place the pedestal. Now later on, even though I wouldn't do this, let's say I had another orange here, I could move this statue by paying a cart, because that's one tile to the next, onto that statue, thereby doubling its victory points at the end of the game. So in this example, let's say I have one on a podium, and as you see, he is in the, he's in the red area there. So in the red area, he'd be worth 6 points. But when he's on a podium, it's double that. It's worth 12 at the end of the game. So that's why you're kind of wanting to move them in further as far as you can go. But remember, they have to be on this. So maybe I should have placed it here, and that way the pedestal would have been in the orange area a little bit better, But you have to place it on that little circlet in there, and it has to be on a newly placed tile. That's how you would score it in the end of the round. Now, what is a workshop? Okay, because remember, that's the first thing you can do sometimes. If you discover a workshop, let's say that on a play, I did this. I discovered a workshop. I would grab any of these workshop tiles, and they offer trade of various things. You can trade 2 coin for a hammer, or some of them say, hey, you can trade a coin for a gem, or a gem for a coin, either way you want it. And you can do this as many times as you have tunnel sides covered. So for instance, if I put it there, I could do it once because it's touching one of my tunnels. Another player, let's say I just did this. Another player could basically connect to my workshop, or the workshop I found, as long as they don't connect to me. So if the blue player, if this was blue player, they weren't connected to me, but they were connected to this, that's okay. And because they covered another side, now you can do this action twice. But let's say maybe it's my turn again, and maybe I place it here. Well, I could do it 3 times, up to 3 times, to get 3 hammers, depending on how many sides are touching the workshop. Depends on how many trades you can have. And there's several different ones in the game, and they're very explanatory, self-explanatory there. But that's what you can do on workshops and casting spells. Now, the game is going to end after in a few ways. The first person who completes their pyramid of trolls, they're going to get this 5 victory point marker. The second person to do it will trigger the ending. They'll get the 3 victory point marker. It even says here, then go 2 more rounds. So you'll finish this current round, and then everyone gets 2 more turns. And once everyone is taking their second turn, then we're going to add up all your victory points. Any points you scored. Oh, I should also mention these points, these podium points here. These podium points were the first person to place a podium. Doesn't have to have a statue on it. So when I place that podium here, I was the first one to place an orange podium in the orange area. So I go here. Oops, all these would be moved down, actually. So I'd move them down here because this is the orange section here. And I place an orange. There's orange. So I would get 2 victory points. Now, it says to add these up in the end of the game, but I don't see why you just wouldn't want to go ahead and just add them up then and there. That's what we do. I just flip it over to show that, hey, if anyone else plants an orange pedestal in orange, they aren't going to get worth points. If they were to place a blue pedestal, they get 1 point. Remember, these are random each game. And so it doesn't matter where you place them, really. I mean, sometimes this may be more expensive. But once you place it, if you're the first to place a podium in that colored area, you can get some of those bonuses. But you'll add those up. You'll add up, of course, any bonus workshops you have, whether the small number or the big number, whatever that is. Then you'll add up all of your statues here to see if they were on a pedestal or not. Now, you cannot count idols in workshops. Idols in workshops score on their own. They do not. I couldn't count this again by saying, oh, and that orange is on dark gray. So that's another 2 victory. I couldn't do that because I already scored him for a workshop, or I'm sorry, a great hall instead of a regular statue. After that, you're going to cash in 3 of the same resource. So, for instance, if I had 3 rock of the same resource, I would get 1 victory point. I should also mention at any time during the game, you may also exchange 4 for 1 resources. So if I want to take all 4 of these resources and trade it in for maybe a hammer, I could. And you can do this at the end of the game. So if I was 1 stone short, I could trade in all of these worthless resources for 1 stone and at least get 1 extra victory point. Because remember, only 3 of the same type counts as a victory point. But you can always trade 4 for 1 even during the game there to get something that maybe you really need. And whoever has the most points wins. Final thoughts. One other thing about the game. Do you like this presentation? I thought holding it up in front of my face was just getting kind of boring. Anyway, I have been looking. I looked at this game a long time ago, and I thought I hated it. There's 2 different versions, I should say, or 2 different games. One's called Fall of the Mountain King, I think. And that was the one I happened to look at, and I hated it. I looked at it again recently, and I still don't like it. But it wasn't for me. But I got those confused because they sound so similar. They came at the same time. Just 2 different games tied together story-wise. But in the hall, I thought was Fall of the Mountain King. So I never looked at it. And then somehow I just started looking at it again. But I said, wait, this isn't the same game I looked at the first time. Or maybe I was getting confused, I thought. But then I realized there were 2 different versions of the game. This game is really a lot of fun. I like how you're getting trolls, cascading them, getting resources. I like moving. The first time we played, we didn't move a single statue. We put them on podiums, but if you get them in the dark gray area, it's only 4 victory points. And we didn't really score that many points as we thought we could. And I was like, wait a minute. And I was the only, I'm still the only one to score great halls. I've done it in every game. But most people don't get it. They don't think about scoring a great hall. Now people are trying to move in and score, statues a little bit further to the middle. So it takes a little while to learn how to play it. The spell cards, it's funny. We've played some where some spells go immediately. Everyone loves a special ability. And there was one game we played where I was the only one to use, and the 3 special abilities didn't seem that special. So the spell cards seem a little, I don't know, maybe imbalanced at times. Like sometimes you think, oh yeah, this is a great one. Then sometimes you're like, I don't know if I'll ever use this. And then sometimes they get forgotten at all. I remember one of our games, none of us did it. We just didn't look at the spell because there were so many other things we were doing that we just got tied up in other things. I like that about the game. You forgot about the cheats. And the spells are kind of like cheats in the game. Now, the champions, we didn't play it with the first time because I didn't know about it. I didn't read about it. I thought it was like some kind of story mode at first. And then I looked it over. I will always play with the champions. It's always nice to have like a little special ability in the game or a little special. Some of them start with special things, and that's always good. So I will never play without the champions mini expansion. But overall, in the Hall of the Mountain King, really fun. I like the deluxe edition. You can get the deluxe edition for it cost me, I think $60. That was with shipping included too. That's for the deluxe Kickstarter edition. So this game ain't selling. Yeah, it's not selling expensively. So you can probably get the base game for about half that probably. And the base game, which is the wooden tokens, the wooden components, would have been nice as well. I've been happy with that. It turns out, the deluxe is great, but I didn't need the deluxe. I would have been happy with the regular version. This is a great deal. These type of games that most people forget about and don't play that much, or you don't hear that much talking about it. It's a really good game. It's right up my alley, and I absolutely love it. All right, gamers, that's it for now. Until next time, you know what to do. Game on.